This area has always, prided itself on its agriculture and seafood and nature. And people put a lot of value on that. I mean, I have a 10-acre farmette adjacent to an undeveloped stretch of the Atlantic coastline. You go to an inlet in Florida, you got 50 boats going through the inlet every morning. You go out here and you're lucky if you see another boat some days. A pandemic destroyed all the eelgrass from the North Sea and Europe over to New England down to North Carolina. Came back everywhere else because there were low salinity refuge areas that provided seeds to reseed the area. We didn't have any seed refuges and there wasn't any seed sourced, so it disappeared and stayed gone basically. The grass stabilized all the sediments in the bottom, and when the grass disappeared, all that sediment along with all the oysters washed in the channels and filled them up. And to the grass, they started planting the grass.
So we are out here in the Mobjack Bay. We are collecting flowering shoots of eelgrass that have seeds. And these are the seeds that we are going to be using for our seed-based restoration work on the seaside of the Eastern Shore.
Seagrasses, or what we refer to in this region as submerged aquatic vegetation, or SAV, are true flowering plants. They are these fabulous underwater prairies that support numerous animals and plants, and they are very, very important in sequestering large amounts of carbon in the sediments. One of our interests was, can we restore seagrasses, first to understand why they were declining, and can we begin a program to restore them? Seeking funding and getting funding is always a challenge because a lot of people didn't fully appreciate the fact that what we were trying to do could be accomplished. Laura is the director of the Coastal Zone Management Program funded by the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration. She felt that this was worth the gamble, and in the late 90s began her support through our program.
Got a call from Bob asking if we had some money to do a little investigative research on SAV restoration. And so we started this program that we called our Seaside Heritage Program. And it was about the eelgrass and the oysters, but also sustainable industries on the Eastern Shore that depend on natural resources flourishing.
I saw a presentation JJ gave of some work he did in the York River, where he showed the track of the boat across the bottom. You could see it in an aerial photo where they had thrown the seeds overboard. And I went, this guy's got something here.
So what we're doing today is getting the seeds that we need for our seagrass restoration project. What we've learned from our research is that seeds that are really good fall very fast. They have a very what we call settling velocity. So in order to separate a lot of the good seeds from the seeds that are not so good, we drop them in this flume, and all the good seeds fall very quickly to the bottom. And so anything that's not very good is going to go past a certain point on the tank. And so what we'll have is essentially all the good seeds falling here and all the bad seeds falling further down the tank because they're lighter. So all we have for our restoration work will be basically all very good seeds.
Because we know that seeds germinate in a period around mid-November, we put the seeds out, literally broadcasting them as we do from the boat in either late September, early October, about a month before they germinate. And then what we'll do is come out in the spring and we'll look at all the seedlings that have developed from those, and then from there those plants will grow and spread the way they've done for millions of years. We just finished looking at the seedlings in this plot, and it looks like we had successful germination and establishment. Looks like maybe between 5 and 10% of the seeds that we put out this past fall have germinated, and we'll just watch this plot for the future and see how it does and contribute to the acres that are growing here in the coastal bays. The surprise was how quickly these plants developed and spread to these areas that had not been seeded.
When we started working here in 1997, it was zippo, no grass at all. And so, yeah, in the 20 years that we've been doing this, the grass has spread to now, I think in 2018, 8,800 acres.
I don't know that we ever even dared dream as big as what's actually happened on the seaside of the Eastern Shore.
As we saw the success that we were having, we began to ask the question, well, if we get seagrass back to some level, could we even think of restoring the bay scallop? The bay scallop was a big commercial fishery in the 20s and early 30s when eelgrass was very abundant. And when eelgrass declined, that whole fishery basically declined also and never recovered. So in the late 2008-9 period, we began an effort to collect some bay scallops from North Carolina, brought them up to Virginia, put them in quarantine, and started raising them, spawning them, and using those small scallops to plant in cages to see whether we could have a project that would lead to the restoration of bay scallops. And that effort has continued today.
I don't care if they develop a commercial fishery out of them, but I would like to see a recreational fishery, because I'd like to go get a few to eat if we can get them back out there. But it's such a weird animal. They only live 2 years, and it's going to take a bigger effort. It's not like the grass just exploded. The scallops have been a little harder to get going, but we're putting a lot of effort in it, so see if we're successful. In 5 years, I would hope to see much more grass in the coastal bays with more productivity, more forage fish, more happy birds. If we get the scallops back, I'm looking forward to eating a few of them myself. It's real important to me that my grandchildren can go out here and still walk on a wild beach.